announced new tariffs that could raise the price of tomatoes.
Imagine walking into your local grocery store and suddenly finding that a simple tomato, the same one you slice into burgers, toss into salads, or simmer into pasta sauce, costs 20% more than it did last week. That's not inflation at work. That's not a seasonal shortage. That's a direct result of new tariffs and trade policies shaking the foundation of America's agricultural industry. What seems like a small policy tweak in Washington has now spiraled into a full-blown tomato trade war. Farmers in Florida, California, and Texas, who once proudly supplied America and much of the world with fresh, affordable tomatoes, are now plowing entire harvests back into the dirt because selling them no longer makes economic sense. Meanwhile, Mexico, America's biggest agricultural rival in this sector, is quietly capturing global markets, signing billion-dollar export deals, and positioning itself as the new tomato superpower of the world. So how did the United States, once a dominant force in tomato production, lose its grip so quickly? Why are American farmers begging for relief while their fields rot with unsold crops? And most importantly, what does this crisis reveal about the future of U.S. agriculture in a globalized economy? Let's break it all down. But before we dive deeper, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to U.S. Finance Wire. Your support helps us continue bringing you clear, in-depth analysis of the financial and political stories shaping America's future. Tomatoes become a trade war casualty. It started with something most Americans barely noticed: a policy shift under the Trump administration that ended a long-standing agreement governing tomato imports from Mexico. For decades, a suspension agreement kept a price floor on Mexican tomatoes entering the U.S. market. That meant imports couldn't be sold below a certain price, protecting American farmers from being undercut by cheap foreign produce. But when that agreement was terminated, the floodgates opened. Suddenly, Mexican tomatoes were entering U.S. grocery chains at prices U.S. farmers couldn't possibly match. Overnight, the market dynamics flipped. What was once a level playing field turned into a race to the bottom, one that heavily favored Mexico. And the ripple effects have been devastating. In Florida's sun-scorched fields, farmers are making the heartbreaking decision to plow under acres of perfectly good, ripe tomatoes. Not because the crop failed, not because of pests or disease, but because harvesting, storing, and shipping them would cost more than they could sell for. Think about that. Millions of pounds of food that could feed families across America, are left to rot in the soil because trade policy made it worthless. Farmers on the brink across America's agricultural heartland, tomato farmers, are in survival mode. In California, growers are watching entire shipments get rejected, not because of quality, but because buyers simply don't exist. Storage facilities are overflowing, cold warehouses are maxed out, and farmers are now selling tomatoes for less than it costs to grow and pack them. The math is brutal. Labor costs are rising. Fuel and fertilizer prices are eating into margins. Storage and logistics are becoming unaffordable. For small and mid-sized farms, it's no longer about profit. It's about survival. And for many, survival is slipping away. One Florida farmer put it simply: "We're still growing the same quality tomatoes we always have. The problem isn't the tomato, it's the system around it." That system, trade agreements, supply chains, government support, is now failing them. Mexico steps in. While U.S. farmers scramble, Mexico has been capitalizing on the chaos. Mexican tomato growers are aggressively signing export contracts worth billions with buyers in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Supermarkets in Paris, restaurants in Dubai, and grocery chains in Singapore are now stocking Mexican-grown tomatoes that used to come from America. Why? Because Mexico offers something the U.S. currently can't: consistency, reliability, and efficiency. Here's Mexico's advantage in a nutshell: advanced greenhouse farming. Mexican operations are among the most sophisticated in the world, growing tomatoes in climate-controlled greenhouses that guarantee consistent size, color, and flavor. Cold chain logistics. Mexico has invested heavily in refrigerated transport and storage, ensuring tomatoes stay fresh from farm to supermarket. Government support. Mexico's government actively negotiates trade deals, supports exporters, and streamlines customs. Packaging and presentation. Tomatoes are carefully sorted, wrapped, and shipped in modern packaging, reducing waste and impressing international buyers. Compare that to the US, where farmers struggle with outdated equipment, unreliable cold storage, and inconsistent paperwork at customs. The contrast is stark. America's broken infrastructure. The crisis goes deeper than just tariffs and trade policy. At its core, the US agricultural system has failed to modernize. Outdated cold chains. Without reliable refrigeration, US tomatoes often arrive bruised, overripe, or spoiled. Border delays, inconsistent inspections, and long wait times at port discourage international buyers. Packaging gaps. Bulk shipping with minimal protection reduces shelf life and increases waste. Paperwork problems, missing certifications and vague labeling delay shipments and frustrate foreign buyers. In today's global food trade, it's not enough to grow a good tomato. You need to deliver it on time, in perfect condition, and with zero uncertainty. That's where the US is falling short, and where Mexico is excelling. The domino effect on local communities. When farmers suffer, entire communities suffer with them. In Central California, packing houses are cutting shifts. Processing plants are scaling back operations. Farm supply stores are losing customers. Trucking companies have fewer loads to haul. Even local diners that rely on farm workers for business are feeling the squeeze. It's a painful ripple effect. One broken system in agriculture leads to job losses, small-town decline, and economic hardship across rural America. And the hardest part? Farmers know they're still producing high-quality tomatoes. They haven't forgotten how to farm. What's broken is the support system around them. The labor crisis. Another piece of the puzzle is labor. In many states, there simply aren't enough workers to harvest tomatoes during the short picking season. When fruit stays on the vine too long, it spoils before it can be packed. Even when workers are available, rising wages make it harder for farmers to break even. Meanwhile, Mexico has streamlined labor availability through programs that ensure steady workforces during peak seasons. It's yet another competitive edge Mexico holds over the US, the brutal math of pricing. Here's the cold truth. US farmers need to sell tomatoes at higher prices just to cover rising costs of fuel, fertilizer, and labor. Mexican farmers with lower costs and better efficiency can sell high-quality greenhouse tomatoes at a fraction of the price. International buyers, operating on thin margins, aren't sentimental. They go where the value is clearer. And right now, that's Mexico. A global shift beyond tomatoes. Here's the scary part. This isn't just about tomatoes. The tomato trade war is a canary in the coal mine for US agriculture. If America can't adapt to the realities of modern global trade, other crops, lettuce, peppers, cucumbers, even grains, could face similar fates. The world is demanding traceability from seed to store, consistency in quality, efficiency in shipping, reliability in policy. Mexico, Spain, the Netherlands, and Morocco are stepping up. The United States is being left behind. What needs to change the path to recovery isn't impossible, but it requires serious investment and political will. Modernize infrastructure, build reliable cold storage, refrigerated transport, and modern grading equipment. Support farmers with policy, reintroduce protections against unfair pricing, and renegotiate trade agreements that prioritize fairness. Invest in technology, subsidize AI-driven sorting, drone crop monitoring, and precision farming tools for smaller farms. Rebuild buyer confidence, provide transparency and stability so international markets trust US suppliers again. Without these steps, the US risks losing not just tomatoes, but its broader role as a global agricultural leader. A race against time. Every growing season lost is another step backward. Farmers are aging, younger generations are hesitant to take over, and international competitors are pulling ahead. The question isn't just whether America can win back the tomato market. It's whether America can adapt fast enough to survive the new reality of global agriculture. Final thoughts. The tomato trade war may sound small, just one crop, one tariff decision, one policy change. But it's not. It's a symbol of something much bigger, the fragility of U.S. agriculture in a globalized economy, the danger of outdated infrastructure and policies. Unless urgent action is taken, the U.S. tomato, once a symbol of agricultural strength, could become a relic of the past. And that's why this story matters. Because when America's farmers struggle, America as a whole struggles. And right now, our farmers are telling us loud and clear, the system is broken. If you found this analysis valuable, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to US Finance Wire, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the stories that shape America's economy. Thanks for watching and supporting the channel. Your engagement means the world to us.